This is a child custody case slash domestic violence. Ashley Prince and her husband murdered. Um, what a story. This is out of Las Vegas, Nevada on April 8th, 2024. God bless the family.
What was going on? They were in a locked room and they were on lockdown.
A terrifying Monday morning in Summerlin as a man walks into an office building and opens fire. 2 people are dead and the gunman is as well. As the shooting put an entire community on edge and triggered a massive emergency response. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Vanessa Murphy.
I'm Brian Loftus. Sources identifying the victims as prominent lawyer Dennis Prince and his wife Ashley. All happened at a law office on West Charleston, right near Pavilion Center, prompting roadways to be shut down for hours. We are standing by for a live press conference. We'll bring it to you as soon as it's happened. They're starting now. Let's listen in.
The sheriff gave a brief on the incidents that transpired here. I'm just conducting a follow-up briefing to clean up anything maybe that was left unanswered or different additional facts that we've learned since the initial briefing. I'll start from the beginning. Earlier today at approximately 10:04 a.m., we received a report of a shooting inside the City National Bank building located at 10,801 West Charleston, which is located directly behind me. Specifically, it was at the 5th floor. And during that initial broadcast, our officers responded to a report of shots fired and numerous gunshots in the building. Officers arrived on scene in very quick fashion. As the sheriff briefed out earlier today, we treated it as an active shooter where we deployed multiple teams into the building along with our fire department to see if there was an actual active shooter. Fortunately, we were able to see that the scene was located in in one specific suite, that's Suite 560, which is the Prince Law Group. As officers went into that suite, they located the scene of the shooting and they located our 3 deceased victims. One deceased victim is a female in her 30s. Another one is a male in his 50s. Our suspect is also deceased here on scene, and he is a male in his 70s. What we've learned from the initial briefing is very similar to what has already been reported on the papers, is that there were 7 people here taking part in a deposition inside the Prince Law Group. 3 of them represented one party, 3 of them represented the other part, and 1 was a court reporter. Shortly into the deposition, approximately 3 to 4 minutes, one of the suspects stood up and began opening fire on the 2 victims across the table from him. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, they are deceased. They're on scene here, and the suspect is deceased also. The other people who were in the room at the time of the shooting, thankfully, were able to quickly get away, call police, and everyone else has been cooperative and interviewed by police. Please keep them in their prayers, no matter what side of this table they are on at this time. This is a pretty traumatic event, and we believe there is no additional threats at this time based on any evidence we have. Our homicide team is on the scene. They're conducting their investigation. We'll be out here for an extended period of time as we conduct our investigation. Again, all the crime scene pretty much is located in Suite 560. Real quick, for all the people who go to work here at City National Bank, the building here, all of them were evacuated, and they did so very orderly, and they were able to move them over to the Red Rock Casino, who helped us out with containing all of them. We've been slowly but surely escorting people into the building so they can get their belongings and get their car that is here. The only issue is if they work at Suite 560, because then we have a little bit of our crime scene. We're trying to figure out another way to get people in there. But any other suites, if you're here right where I'm briefing this, across the street from me, the entrance to the parking garage, you can go to those officers right there, approach them, tell them that you're here to pick up your property. They'll escort you into the building or escort you to your car to get it. Just please provide some type of credentialing that shows that you belong at the building. With that, I know there's probably a lot of questions here. I'll take any additional questions you may have. Go ahead.
Johansson, how did the gun get into the building and past any security measures?
I don't know right now specifically what security measures are at this building. My preliminary walkthrough, I don't see a specific security desk or anything like that. It's believed that our suspect had it on him at the time he entered the building.
And then earlier they mentioned that they were investigating his car in the parking
Yes.
garage. What was found inside it?
That was a preliminary investigation. So anytime you have a shooting like this, which is possible like an active shooter when it first started, you're always going to be looking for the mode of transportation of how they got there, and then you're going to conduct your evidentiary search warrant to see if there's any evidence that was left inside of the car. Right now, there's nothing of note evidentiary-wise related to what we got out of the car, but we have to go through our steps to ensure that. We got to make sure there's no secondary devices or anything that was left in the car, and then you have the evidentiary fact for the criminal investigation. We are serving a search warrant right now, earlier today, and it's still going on right now, at our suspect's residence, which is located in the area of Buffalo and Desert Inn. Our teams are there right now, and we're doing a search there also for similar any evidence, anything that would explain motive. We believe we have a good idea of what the motive is right now, but anything confirming what that motive is.
Are you releasing any of the names?
I will not be releasing any of the names right now. That is done by the coroner. The coroner releases all information and identities of any victims or any deceased.
Can you tell us any information about what the meeting was that they were meeting here today about?
Based on what our interviews, they were here inside the law group going over doing a deposition hearing that had something that had to do with child custody. Specifically, I don't have all those details, but it had to do with a child custody deposition.
Children potentially involved have been safe?
All children are accounted for, and all children are safe at this time.
We saw a vehicle being towed away like half an hour ago.
Was it a red Ford Expedition? Yeah, that was the vehicle that I answered the question about that we processed to make sure. Again, we're taking that to our lot where we're going to secure it for now until we know there's no other evidence related inside that vehicle.
You mentioned that they actually fled the room, the others in the room at some point. Was there any indication that before the gunman shot himself that he was trying to target anybody else in the room before they escaped?
Based on what I have right now, it appears our two victims were the very specific targets. He actually shooed another victim away. So I get the impression that two victims were very much the intended target during this incident. The other victims that were in the room, everyone thankfully was able to flee further into the building to get away, and that's when we started getting our 911 phone calls.
Can you see how many shots were fired?
That will be part of our investigation. Definitively, we can't right now. Once we get our full scene processed and stuff moved out of the way, and we'll be able to go there. But there's still quite a bit of evidence collection that needs to take place.
Were the victims declared dead on the scene?
Yeah, everyone. There's nobody transported to a hospital. Everyone's declared deceased here on scene.
Do you know what the gun he used was?
I don't have that information yet.
Do you know if the building will be open for business tomorrow?
I'm hoping to have this entire scene processed. At least the only thing I'm worried about is if Suite 560 will be shut down, but the rest of the building will be open up. If that's the case, we'll coordinate with building management and let them know, and we'll keep officers posted here overnight. It just depends on how far we get to tonight and if we need to continue into the morning.
We're hearing the shooter was the father involved in the child custody dispute. Where is that father, like the son, the other man who is the parent of the child?
He's accounted to. We've spoken to him and we've interviewed him at this point. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Hearing there from police about the shooting at City National Bank building on the 5th floor, we did learn multiple shots were fired. There were 7 people in that room, in that suite for the deposition, and it was treated by police as an active shooter situation. For those that work into the building, everyone was evac'd and taken to a safe location. The building will remain open in terms of those who work there, except for, as police mentioned, Suite 560, where this crime occurred.
Yeah, and Lieutenant Jason Johansson saying the 2 victims were the intended target. 7 people in that room, as you mentioned, involved in a deposition, a child custody case, 3 people, and a court reporter.
Homicide the team will be on scene for hours. We'll continue to update you on 8newsnow.com as well as on air.
And the 8 News Now investigators' sources identified the victims of the incident earlier. One of the most tragic parts about this, children are left behind. An infant no longer has a mother and father. That mom and dad, Dennis and Ashley Prince. Dennis, a well-known Las Vegas attorney who we've interviewed several times here at 8 News Now. The shooting happening inside his law office. Attorney Robert Eglett, a close friend of Prince, calling this a family's worst nightmare. I talked with him on the phone earlier, just devastated. He says in addition to their infant child, they both had children from previous relationships. Dennis, a preteen son, and 2 adult children. Ashley, a 4- and 5-year-old. Now, sources tell us the shooter is attorney Joe Houston II. I believe this is video of his law office. The 8 News Now investigators have tried piecing this all together, and here's what we've learned. Ashley was in a custody dispute with her ex, Dylan Houston. He's also a Las Vegas attorney. His father is Joe. Court records show Joe was representing Dylan while Dennis was representing his wife, Ashley. Sources tell us Joe Houston shot and killed Dennis and Ashley Prince before turning the gun on himself. Now, as we mentioned, this happening at a custody deposition. Oftentimes these are contentious, especially when children are involved. But of course, no one expected any of this.
And families of those evacuated from those upper floors of that Summerlin area office building reunited with loved ones over at Red Rock Casino. 8 News Now reporter James Schaefer sharing some of those stories of people who were just going to work this morning before shots rang out.
Brian, Vanessa, families telling me that when they reached out to their family members, originally it was over the phone, but then it transitioned to over text out of fear that they would give away their loved one's location to this shooter inside the building. Police, following police's arrival and safe evacuation of employees from City National Bank office building, evacuees were moved to the ballrooms at the Red Rock Casino, where we spoke with families waiting to be reunited. Families told us people there were just there to work, one simply to make a delivery before shots rang out. Lacey Smith telling us she spoke with her 26-year-old son who worked in the building, saying she would be here for him.
He called and told us that he was in a locked room and that he could hear an active shooter in the building, and that the police had just arrived when he initially called us. Then after that, we didn't call him, we just texted him because we didn't want to create any attention to his area because we didn't know what was going on.
Another woman, Taylor Donlon, told us she was here to meet her mother, who was just dropping something off at the office before having to shelter in place. Donlon saying her mother was quickly evacuated from the building to Red Rock in under 10 minutes after police's arrival. Now, family and friends that are trying to meet with those evacuees and reunite with them were told to do so at the Red Rock Casino. Reporting live from Summerlin.
Children are left behind. An infant no longer has a mother and father. That mom and dad, Dennis and Ashley Prince. Dennis, a well-known Las Vegas attorney who we've interviewed several times here at 8 News Now. The shooting happening inside his law office. Attorney Robert Eglett, a close friend of Prince, calling this a family's worst nightmare. He says in addition to their infant child, they both had children from previous relationships. Dennis, a preteen son, and 2 adult children. Ashley, a 4- and 5-year-old. Sources tell us the shooter is attorney Joe Houston II. The 8 News Now investigators have tried piecing this together, and here's what we've learned. Ashley was in a custody dispute with her ex, Dylan Houston. He's also a Las Vegas attorney. His father is Joe. Court records show Joe was representing Dylan while Dennis was representing his wife, Ashley. Sources tell us Joe Houston shot and killed Dennis and Ashley Prince before turning the gun on himself. This happening at a divorce or custody deposition. These can often be contentious, especially when there are children involved. But of course, no one ever expected this. Kirsten.
A crucial reminder here, help is available. If you or anyone you know is a victim of domestic violence, you can call the phone number there on your screen or simply text the word START to 88788.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Please subscribe.